All right. So this is how we always start our programs, is making sure that we remind ourselves as well as our audience that's out there that we are indeed a nonpartisan organization. And our main missions of the League of Women Voters is to defend democracy. And I forget how else you put that, Jean.
Empower voters and defend democracy.
Empower voters and defend democracy. Absolutely. And that's what our programs are all about, is we want informed voters and educated voters, and we want to ensure that our communities are the type of healthy communities we want to live in. Yeah. So next slide, please. Today we're going to acknowledge all of the lands of Wisconsin. Indigenous people have occupied this continent that we call Turtle Island for time immemorial, when Sky Woman came below. And there's constant conversation going on now about land acknowledgements and the purpose of them. It's nice to remind ourselves of the people who once occupied this land. But if we keep talking about the Indigenous peoples in the past tense, we forget that we're still here. And so you'll see on the slide on the left are the 12 tribes of Wisconsin. We're still here. There are a number of Indigenous people who lived here well before we did. And I want to thank all of their ancestors and all of our ancestors of the two-legged, four-legged peoples, the winged peoples, the crawly, the swimming. All of our relatives and our ancestors did a magnificent job making this a habitable, welcoming place. And I hope that by acknowledging our ancestors today, that we can be part of the ancestors who are acknowledged as time goes on, that we become good stewards as those before us. So thank you, all Indigenous people and all of our ancestors from the many peoples that are out there. And we hope that we will do the same. Thank you. So let me introduce to you our League President, Jean Roberts.
Thanks, Renee, and thanks for that wonderful land acknowledgement. And welcome everybody, whether you're a 50+ year member like Kathy Thompson or a brand new member like Sandy and Tracy. And usually in April, we do something to do with climate for Earth Month. But this year, our 2-year study was on climate change, preparedness, and resilience. And we did a program just in, I think, February. So we thought we don't need to repeat that in April. And Renee came up with the idea, well, let's talk about what we do and who we are. So, so we can review where we are and where we're going. So next slide, please. As Renee said, that we are nonpartisan. Nonpartisan for League means that we do not support or endorse candidates or parties. That doesn't mean that we're not political. We are very political, but all of our advocacy is based on positions that have been researched at the state, local, and national level. And all of these, when I was talking about the study earlier, that's how we develop our positions. We do grassroots study, we develop a position, and we present it to the entire membership. They vote on whether this is a position that fits for us or not, and then we decide at the annual meeting to keep it in our positions. At that point, this is something that we can do advocacy on. If we don't have a position, we don't do advocacy. And that's one of the things that drew me to League, is that the advocacy that League does is not based on opinions, it's based on fact, it's based on research. Little history of the League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters is an outgrowth of the suffrage movement. The National American Women's Suffrage Association was one of the primary organizations working on the passage of the 19th Amendment. when Carrie Chapman Catt knew that was going to happen, she switched the NAWSA into the League of Women Voters, local, state, and national. And that's who we are. That's who we've been for the last 101 years. Next slide. So the League of Women Voters of Wisconsin has a board comprised of 10 members. Something that's unusual for Wisconsin is that the Wisconsin League has paid staff. There are many states that have no paid staff at all, and the Wisconsin League has several. They have an executive director, administrative assistants, a communication manager, somebody who makes sure that we get our information out in social media and print media, a voter education manager. That's somebody who Brian and Jackie work very closely with. And that person helps us with our Vote 411. Membership and events manager. And this is Ellen, who is kind of the jack of all trades. It's the person that everybody pretty much goes to for everything. And then new this year, that was put in the budget, is a DEI coordinator. And this person is planning to be hired in hopefully the next few months. Next slide. And these are just different committees within the state level. Currently, I am the co-chair of the Community Alliances Committee, which is a committee that comprised of members of local leagues working together on our DEI journey. This is something that started about 3 years ago. DEI is a new concept for many leagues. And so this committee was formed so that we could work together, realizing that it's a hard job and that we need the support of each other. All right, next slide. We're also involved with 2 interleague organizations focused on climate issues. The League of Women Voters of the Lake Michigan region on our east side, and the League of Women Voters of the Upper Mississippi region on our west side. Wisconsin has 20 leagues in total. That's 20 different unique, separate entities. Most recent ones are, from what I remember, the League of Women Voters of Sheboygan County. The Greater Chippewa League is a relatively new league. All of these leagues work independently, but they also work together under the auspices of the League of Women Voters of Wisconsin and the League of Women Voters of the United States. Next slide. Oh, okay, we get to the stuff that I really understand. Okay, I'm Jean Roberts. I have been the president for nearly 4 years. And basically the president serves as the face of the league. I'm the one who represents the league at county board meetings, city council meetings. If there's an issue that is in need of advocacy, and if we have a position that I can advocate for, one of my jobs is to go to the government meetings and advocate. I was at a meeting last week advocating on an issue. In addition to that, the president is the one who kind of takes charge of trying to make sure that the league work is getting done. The president conducts the board meetings, chairs the annual meeting, reviews any materials that are to be sent out for any reason, and along with the rest of the board, sets our priorities, sets our goals, develops ways that we want to work to solve these issues. And then the president's job is also to encourage members and forward activities of the league. Just a second. What this all means is I get a lot of emails. And the president is also the liaison between the League of Women Voters of Appleton, the League of Women Voters of Wisconsin, the National League, and any interleague organizations. And I agreed to be president 4 years ago. My term is almost up. And I did this because I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to make a difference in how our government was working. And I really believed that the best way I could serve was with a nonpartisan organization. I had donated money to the League of Women Voters for several years, but I never joined until I retired. And I joined because of that nonpartisanship, and I joined because the League does their advocacy based on research. Renee asked me to talk about how I've grown personally. And there is so much, I couldn't possibly tell you all of it. But there are two things that I think I've grown the most in. The whole nonpartisan thing has really forced me to look at issues rather than parties or candidates. It's real easy to get caught up in the rhetoric of parties, the rhetoric of candidates. As president, because I'm the face of the League, I had to make sure that my social media was nonpartisan, my personal social media, that I don't wear partisan buttons, that I don't wear partisan clothing, that I have no partisan signs in my yard. This forced me to really look at positions. And I became actually a better voter because I had to put all of that noise aside and just really pay attention to the positions. And it made me smarter, it made me stronger, it made me a better voter. So that's one of the things that I gained personally. The other thing is the whole DEI thing. When I agreed to be president, the first thing I did was meet with two different League members and talk with them about, what do you think about us having a DEI committee? I think the League's a little homogeneous. I think maybe we could use a little more diversity in our League. And what do you think about that? So that's how our DEI committee started. I have learned so much about myself, and what I've learned more than anything is how much I don't know and how much more growth I have to make, that this is a lifelong journey. And every time I start thinking, oh, I finally got it, I think I really got it, I get reminded, now you don't have a clue. You got a lot of ways to go. And it's it's a fun journey. It's an intense journey. It's a struggle, but it has been, again, made me a much better person. So anyways, that's me, Jean Roberts. If you have any questions or want to talk with me about anything, put it in the chat and I'll get a hold of you.
Great, thanks, Jean. Next slide. Yep, so this is what we're going to do tonight. This is what our Appleton League looks like. We have lots of opportunity for individuals to use their skills and develop skills in helping us move our mission forward, make our community stronger. So we're going to go through each of these elected positions and the committees so you get an idea of the opportunities available for you. Next slide, please. The first thing that I need to acknowledge is that you do not have to be a League member to be on a committee. That our committee, especially when we're doing our study and our initial grassroots research, we need experts that are beyond the League. And so if you have friends or family who are interested in doing some of the committee work, please let them do this without fear of having to join. The other thing I want to mention is that the more people we have working on these committees, the easier the work it gets. Because these committees are really big in the scope of things that we like to do. And if we have everybody who's doing one thing on that committee very well, it makes it so much easier for the rest of us. So thanks. Next slide, please. Oh, that's me. Don't go next slide. This is where. All right. So I'm Renee Gralowitz, Vice President of Programs. This is one of the things I do is organizing and to help make happen these programs. If you've been paying attention to programs all year long, you'll see my face welcoming people, but I am not the expert on these issues in any way, shape, or form. I spend my time coordinating and finding the best speakers possible for the topics we have. This year is my first year of VP of Programs, and it was a good learning curve. And I was very thankful that I was retired and I could dedicate the time to learn what this position can do and the scope of the people we can reach through our programming. Most of the programs we do are educational programs. We want to inform ourselves and others about issues of importance. So this year we've had issues from absentee ballots and the way Wisconsin processes absentee ballots and the voting process here in Wisconsin. We talked about housing issues and the inequalities and housing struggles that we have here in Appleton. Next year, I'm looking forward to having a program committee work with me to develop which programs, educational programs we want to put forward. We have probably decided that our theme for the year is going to be civil discourse and how to engage people who don't have similar points of view as ourselves or yourself on issues as well as politics. So we're going to focus a lot on how to have those difficult conversations around diversity, around housing, around budgets without, by learning from others. So the program committee, I'm looking for people to sign up and help me shape the programs for next year and perhaps help suggest speakers for the programs. The study committee is the big one. The study committee are volunteers who help research the topic of study that our league will vote on in May. Our league members vote on the topic of interest. We started that with the lively issues we had in January. And with the lively issues, we narrow those down and we balance the lively issues that come up in that meeting with positions that we already have on the league. So the study committee can be very large and you don't have to be on a committee for the entire year. You can stay on the committee and use your skills for as long as you are willing to give up your time. So I joined the league because I've always looked to the league on positions. I'm a retired United States Army major, and in my active duty years, I traveled quite a bit. And in my travel, I get to still vote for presidential and federal levels. And it's nice to know who to vote for. And I would always look to the league to give me position statements on issues that I'm concerned about, and I could match those with candidates. So out of respect for all of the work for women who came before me, I thought I can dedicate my time to help do this. And so it's been a really growth for me. I've met a lot of wonderful people. Next slide, please. Oh, wait, one more thing too. If you have questions for anybody or questions about the positions, feel free to put them in the chat room. And we'll see if we can answer them during the program as well as we'll get back to you after the program. So thank you. Next slide, Dave.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. My name is Linda Biella, and I've been the Action Vice President for the past 2 years. And I see this position as what connects the studies and the positions to what the league does in terms of advocacy. So when I think of the league mission as empowering voters and defending democracy, this is the defending democracy part. And it's vital. It is the heart and soul of the league. I think those two areas, making sure that people are able to vote, and then making sure that their vote counts and their voice counts. I'm the one that sends out the action alerts to people, and I do my best to follow all the issues, but it is impossible to keep track of everything that is important to the league and important to our country, and our state and our local community. So I'm hoping that as we go forward, we can form an action committee and bring together people who meet regularly, who really are well-versed in certain issues that they're following, can keep all of us informed about what's going on concerning those issues, and then help strategize how we can influence public policy by contacting representatives and so forth, and try to pull more people in to these various causes that we're passionate about. We've also started the idea of a legislative town hall, because in our state, our legislators, because of the gerrymandering of the districts, they tend not to listen to what their constituents say. So we thought that it would be a good idea to try to bring them to us so that we can meet with them more regularly. And we had our first legislative town hall recently, and it was, I think, well attended, and we had 2 representatives, one Democrat, one Republican, and the discussion was very respectful and productive. So I'm very optimistic about that going forward. Also under this portfolio is the Observer Corps. These are volunteers that agree to follow the agendas and attend meetings, which now is all virtually done. The Appleton Common Council, the Outagamie County Board, and the Appleton Area School District Board of Education. So those are the 3 areas that we're monitoring right now. As we get more volunteers, as I hope we can get more volunteers into our Observer Corps, I have hopes that we can expand that purview to include other governmental bodies throughout the Fox cities. So that's kind of in a nutshell what the Action Vice President does. And if you have questions, as Renee mentioned, just type them into the chat and I'll try to answer them as we go on. So we can go on to the next slide.
All right, we have a secretary position for our league. Absolutely could not do without Julie Evers to keep the minutes of the meetings, and she does an awful lot of work for us behind the scenes, and we're very grateful that she does. And it is important that she does this because we keep a large amount of information on what we do and what we agree to do as an organization. So thank you, Julie. Next slide, please.
This one is me, Diane Putzer. I'm treasurer of the league this year. This is my first year as treasurer. And basically I'm responsible for keeping track of all the money coming in and going out, making sure that everything gets recorded accurately and that funds are being spent on what we agreed in the budget we would spend them on, or if there's something extraordinary that the board has approved, then monthly I prepare financials for our board meetings and then an annual report for the annual meeting. And then also I am a member of the budget committee, and every year in January or February, a group gathers to determine how we want to, what our focus is going to be for the next year. The majority of the money coming in is from dues, and that also is the majority going out because we pay dues to both the state and federal leagues. I've been a member for, I think, about 3 years now, or maybe 4. But, I knew that the league helped register people to vote and encourage voting, which is very important to me. But I didn't know before I joined about the different studies that they do in the position advocacy. So I'm, continuing to learn more about our positions and what we advocate for. So it's been fun. I've learned a lot, and I'm a CPA by trade. So for me, following the money is how you know where people's what the intent of an organization is, and our funds have been spent prudently. There's not a lot of fluff in the budget, so it's really been interesting, and I'm enjoying this. But if anybody has questions, please let me know. So off to the next slide. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Kathy Voigt, and I'm the Director of Communications on the board. The Technology and Communications Committee is really the fun committee. And I know everybody out there is going to say, but our committee is the fun committee. But I just said it loud first, so it must be true. The reason I think we're the fun committee is because we really tell the story of the league. And there's so much going on in our league that there are lots of stories to tell. I really got involved in the league about 1.5 years ago, a little bit more, because so many women that I knew outside in other parts of the community were involved in the league, and they were so well informed and interested and knowledgeable. And I thought this would really be a good way for me to come to a better understanding of the political landscape without choosing sides. And I think that that often adds fuel to the fire. So I really began with the league to learn more from the people who were involved in the work and the studies that the league is doing. It was a good pairing for me because I could bring my professional background, my writing and media background to what the league does. And so that's why it's also kind of fun for me. I know a lot of times people are turned off by the words join, volunteer, get involved. But for me, I think it's just the opposite. I think that this is the way you really get more from your membership, from your involvement. You get to know more of the people who are involved, and it becomes a very easy thing to become involved. And you can choose as much or as little, or tune into the topics that are important to you. So you can choose your level of engagement, but I think it's really more of a benefit than a commitment. So I hope that as people see the committees and the teams that we're talking about today, find something of interest to you and know that that's something that can benefit you as much as the organization. Probably the most visible aspect to the communications and technology team is the newsletter, The Informed Voter. And I know the newsletter gets a lot of comments, but I really would like people to understand that really what the comments are directed to is the content. And it's really just sort of the visible way of learning what the league is up to. So it's really the work of all of the other committees that make the newsletter strong. It comes out monthly. And if you have ideas or suggestions for content, we're always open to talk about it and see if it's a good fit for our newsletter. In addition, the Director of Communications works with the media to get our message out whenever that's appropriate, produces news releases. I work with the other board members and officers, committee chairs to develop appropriate messaging. If you see an op-ed piece in the paper or hear someone on the radio, we've been working together to do that. We connect people from the league with our members and with the community at large. The newest side to this new committee is the technology aspect. And I think everybody can relate to the fact of what COVID has meant to most organizations. It's changed how we communicate, how we conduct business. And if it weren't for people with a technology background and knowledge, I don't know how we would have communicated all the work of the league in the past year. So right now we are looking for assistance with that. If there is someone who's good with website content, that'll be a big project for us this year. If you're experienced with Facebook or some of the other social media platforms, if you've got experience doing Zoom meetings, it's not an all or nothing proposition. If someone is experienced with that or would be willing to be trained for those needs, we will certainly help you, but you don't have to do every single program. You could say, I'll do the Zoom meeting for July. You can take off the piece that's most comfortable for you or where you're willing to be trained and learn a little bit new. So my email is on there if you would like to, or you can send a message through the league email and get in touch. We would love to talk with you and see how we can connect your passions and your experience, your expertise with the needs of the league. So I look forward to working with you. It's been a great experience, and I'm so glad I'm a part of the league. Thanks. Next.
Good evening. I am Cindy Falona. I am the Director of Membership, and Kathy might have claimed the fun committee, but I've got the best job. I'm laying claim to that one. Membership is obviously the heart and soul of what makes us successful and enables us to do what we do. And I get to meet almost everybody and talk with people. And I don't say, here's why you should join the league. I like to say, why wouldn't you want to join the League of Women Voters in Appleton? My own quick story is I joined in 2013 because someone in the league asked me to join. And I'll be honest, I had really no idea exactly what the league did. I'm going to be honest again, thought it was a bunch of old white ladies who got together. And even though if you look at all of our faces, most of us tonight do have white faces, we are far from a bunch of just have tea, get together for social. This is the most dynamic group I've ever belonged to. And again, learning to look at an issue not through a partisan lens has been very beneficial for me personally. And as a local organization, I can honestly say in the last several years, we have grown in our awareness of DEI. And again, for those of you who don't know, we use that acronym, that's diversity, inclusion, and equity. And I think the best example I can give of that as far as membership goes, 2 years ago, we did a pilot program for 1 year to look at, it costs basically $75 right now to join the league. And if you're a student, it's 10. But that's, for many of us, that's not a great deal of money. But when you're looking at DEI, economics is a barrier to many people to participate in our society. And so we instituted, it kept all the same levels, but we instituted what we called an open membership. And basically a person pays what they feel that they can actually afford to pay. They don't have to ask. It's not like a scholarship. You don't have to apply and have a group consider it. There's no questions asked. Whatever you put in there that you're able to pay, you are a full-fledged member. So that has been very helpful for us in growing our membership from an economic diversity standpoint. And we are working so diligently to increase our membership through the other DEI aspects. Just real quick, we are 130 members strong, and I want to tell you that is a great number. And we are the League of Women Voters Appleton, but quite honestly, we really are the Fox Cities. Approximately, and Jean, tell me if I've got this percent wrong, I believe about 40% of our members live outside of Appleton proper. That would include Grand Chute, Kaukauna, Little Chute, Kimberly, Sherwood. We have people from Hortonville. So we have really reached out to our entire geographic community. We have 50-year members. We have one here tonight, Kathy Thompson, who is a valued member and a wealth of information, to Rick Biella, who is not with us tonight, but he is our newest member. So every week I look forward to my emails, hoping there'll be another new member. And that's quite frankly what my committee does. We do have a membership committee, and our goal is to obviously recruit new members. But once we recruit them, then to me, the most important part is to have an orientation or a meeting to let you know what we have to offer. Exactly what we're doing tonight is what we do with brand new members, and to engage new members, because you need to feel that your time and money is well spent. And we have lots of ways for that to happen, but it's our job to make sure that new people, and even maybe some members who haven't done a great deal, understand all the different ways to make a difference for yourself and the community, state, and country, and the League of Women Voters. There's a lot, I was going to say paperwork, you can tell I'm old, updating databases with new people, or someone has a new email or address, whatever. We have yearly renewal process we go through, and I have a great committee. I could use some new members. The committee members I have jump in whenever we have meetings for new people. This year, obviously, we've done it via Zoom because we've had to. I have membership committee members who will meet one-on-one with a person if they cannot make it to a group participatory event. So again, if you would be interested in being on the membership committee, or you have any ideas that you want to throw out to us, here's what I've seen from another group and how they recruit, or how do they retain, or I am open to ideas. I'm not very creative, but I'm a great thief. I can take what someone else has thought up and run with it. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jackie Klimaszewski. And I am with the Voter Services. In the beginning, Linda Biella talked about the pillars of the league, and one of those was advocacy and positions, and that were locally developed. The other pillars that she mentioned was the whole idea of voters having access and being informed voters. And so that's what this is all about. So I'm going to talk about voter services. And I'll just start with how I got involved with that. So that's been about 10 years or so that I've been doing voter services kinds of things with the league. It is one of those things that it was important for me. I'm a retired curriculum director, and one of the things I worked with, groups I worked with, was social studies. So that has been my minor in college. That was always an interest for me. So the whole civics kind of thing was a part of my background. And so as I was getting set to retire, one of the things that helped me decide to retire was my husband saying, well, you retire, you can do the things that you're interested in doing because you'll have time to do them instead of having to work. I went, that makes a lot of sense. and so I've kind of dove into the voter services helping people register to vote, helping them understand in a nonpartisan kind of way what the issues are, and helping them think through who would be the best person to vote for. And so I have learned a lot. And it has been very rewarding. One of the areas where I've learned a lot is about the community. I learned a lot of different people that I would never have had an opportunity to bump into or to interact with. Politicians, people who have concerns and issues. And the other part of that is I've learned a lot about our election laws. And where that has come in is I've gotten to help people register to vote who had a hard time figuring out how to register to vote. They just plain had way more interesting lives than I did. It wasn't a simple matter for them to just take their driver's license and go register and vote. Things are more complicated for some of us than others. And because we have complicated lives, shouldn't mean that we are denied our civil rights. So that has been beneficial. That, as well as just being able to interact with all the people on the league in a variety of capacities. One of the other things I've learned is that the more you do, the more you realize that there is more to do. And so over those years, when I've been working with voter services team, one of the biggies is that we needed more people. It had to be more than just one person directing things. And so that's when we started a team. And I'm going to introduce you here briefly, quickly, to the other part of this team. We got together with a group of league people and came up with this team idea. We have our mission and our vision, and that's what's on the screen right here. It was important that we have our focus on what we need to do, and that we have a vision to have a sustainable model, meaning that there are going to continue to be opportunities that come along, and we want to be able to respond to those. There's going to be continual challenges, like this year with COVID. We had a more of a need to do things like help people have witnesses to their absentee ballot because they didn't have anybody to be witnesses, and they were ill or housebound, and so we were able to respond to that. So we also want, in that vision, is to be able to foster a turnover of volunteers, have a lot of people involved, and to mentor those volunteers to take on some leadership roles as we look at more subcommittees that from this voter services team, that we could have subcommittees of that who would have another 3 or 4 people working with them on a particular topic. So the person who is my cohort in crime here is, and I'm very delighted to be working with him, is Brian Post. And so I'm going to let Brian pick up from here.
Thank you. I'm Brian Post, and I am the embodiment of the saying for Jackie that would say, be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. So she was looking for a little extra help. She got me. So I'm also the representative that says the League of Women Voters is not just for women anymore. So I'm the one lone male on the board, and very happy to be a part of it. As you can see, we've laid out some of the things that we do here. The other committees, you've talked about which are the best and which are the funnest and which are the most rewarding. We're the committee where the rubber meets the road, okay? Because all of the things that we've talked about tonight, all of the different positions that we take and the things that motivate people to be active.
What the cupcakes are on the pan? Lay it on its side. The ice cream.
Oh, there we go. All of the things that we talk about, all of the issues that we talk about in 2016, I transitioned to full-time role of elder. Okay, and that's the way I kind of look at this, right? I transitioned from full-time employment to role of elder, and serving your community and being part of the community is part of the deal, is part of being an elder. And I really believe that. And this is where I chose to have that participation. And so anyway, I joined here about 4 years ago and became a little bit more active. I joined this role here about a year ago. So these are the things that we do. We have a typical cycle that really gets involved with the local high schools and the colleges here to, get out and reach out to the young people. It's been a great opportunity. Love to see and get out and working with the young folks. That's been really wonderful. And the other thing I would put here is that other thing that I learned going for was in 2016, about 55% of the people turned out to vote. And if you look at polling across the country on all of the major issues, there are vast majorities of everything that we are concerned about. And that doesn't get recognized unless people vote. People have to vote in order for things to change. And so that's really important to me. And this is the one area that I could see where I was going to make an impact that's going to help people get out and vote. And so in the last 4 years, we've been working to register people. And I said about 55% voted in 2016. And this last year in 2020, I believe the number was somewhere between 60 and 65% of the electorate turned out, eligible elector. And unless or until somebody can prove to me different, I'm going to say that is directly because of the cause of the League of Women Voters of Appleton that put those people on the map and got people excited about turning out to vote. So that's what we're all about.
And the second part of our team focuses on the voter education and turnout. So what are we doing? This is where the forums come in. And so we had 8 of them in the month of March, all virtual. We've had forums both ways. We've done a little survey on what the candidates thought about it. So we'll be sharing that with our team here on Monday. We have Vote 411, which helps provide nonpartisan, well, it's partisan, but it has both parties being able to put their perspectives on whatever issues are. And our voter guides are also with both parties having an opportunity to express themselves. Devices, documents that should help people think through what their issues are and where they stand with the people that they're running for the elections in order to determine who they think would be the best person for them to vote for. So that's the kind of coordination that we do. This is a little seasonal in terms of, it was very intensive this March. However, there's no November election, so there aren't going to be any of those this year. So it won't be until next March again that we'll get into this kind of intensity of work. However, we still look at materials for those students who are turning 18 and need to register to vote and need to have a plan in place for when they move on to college, or what are they going to do then? And some of those other kinds of materials that we hand out. Hopefully, once again, we'll be able to hand them out in person at different kinds of get-togethers like in the past, and hopefully we'll get back there someday. Things like the downtown farmers market or community events. We would be called up and say, hey, could you have a table to help people register to vote? For churches, for get-togethers, all different kinds of civic organizations. And so we have a list of those And one of the ways that we look for support from our team members is we don't know all the communities that are all of our mini communities within our greater community as to, so where else could we be invited or invite ourselves in order to have a table or to provide some promotional materials on helping people understand what they need to do to get registered and to make sure they have the proper ID in the state of Wisconsin in order to vote. So these are some of those kinds of activities. Some of them I said are seasonal. Some of them we want to be able to respond to when they come up, when they arise. And Brian will chime in here too on this last slide that we have for different roles. Brian, if you want to talk about what some of those roles are for registration.
Sure. We're looking to set up where we can split this up into smaller chunks, again, in trying to invite people to, taste this at a smaller chunk, and also to develop some expertise in these. So we're looking for local high school and college registration coordinators. So you develop a little bit of a relationship with, we've got contacts at each of these places. So to manage that relationship a little bit. And so set up and just call and say, hey, we're going to come, and that kind of stuff. Community outreach coordinators, registration event volunteers. So people, if you just want to get interested, and want to learn to help sign up, just put your name on a list. There's always somebody there. Jackie started this out a long time ago. And that's how I got involved, was just, there's always somebody there that knows all the ins and outs, and all you gotta do is stand there and encourage people to sign up.
Absolutely. And I will add to that, that we also get to connect with the Appleton Area School District Student Marketing Team, which Brian, you would agree, has been very rewarding on a number of levels, but enjoyable, as well as just being amazing how innovative and creative they are, and passionate about our issue as well. And so looking at volunteers in the candidate and voter turnout part, what do we need? We need people who want to be responsible to organize events, to lead efforts or meetings, or just plain do some assigned actions. We've got lots of different things. I mean, so even if you just want to say, I want to be on a list to help people register to vote, Brian will train you. Those events will come up, and you always have the opportunity to say, no, that date doesn't work for me, or that's great, but I can only do 2 hours that day, or whatever. We're very flexible. The more volunteers we have, the more flexible we can be. And so also in the voter services team, participating, because we need you to attend and contribute, because the more areas of our greater community can be involved in making some of these decisions and coming up with ideas, the better we're going to be in terms of meeting the variety of needs that are out there. Anything that you want to add, Brian?
I think we've covered it, Jackie. Thank you for your time.
Lots of opportunities. Yep. Lots of opportunities, and just let me know.
Hi, I'm Sue Hoffensberger, and I am the fundraising chair. And like every other organization, to accomplish our goals, we need to raise funds. And lucky for us, though, we have extremely generous members and friends. So we only need to, at this time, host 3 fundraising events. And our first one, as part of our tiered membership program, we provide members the opportunity to donate above and beyond the cost of their dues at the time that they pay their dues. And our second event, we have a annual fundraising letter where we send our fundraising requests to our members and friends. And we do that in August, and it's connected to Women's Equality Day. And finally, we at our holiday brunch, we host our silent auction. And this one I think is the most fun. We get friends and members to donate craft items, artistic items, cooking, any, things like that. And we auction them off. And all three of these are very what's the word? They're very effective. And as you can see, we have lofty goals. And by doing these three things, we are able to meet most of our goals most of the time. Next one.
Okay, here we are looking at some committees now. The Climate Preparedness and Resilience Committee is brand new, hot off the presses. Lihia Rivera and I are for now the co-facilitators, and we are looking actively for committee members to join us. The main purpose of our committee is to carry out the study positions that we just worked on, and using advocacy and education to help to improve climate preparedness and resilience in our whole area, really, not just in the Appleton, but in the broader area. And so we'll be working on continuing to learn. We have topics that we covered that as a biologist didn't initially appear to me to be climate change and preparedness, but which I came to see as integral, such as what about the effects on vulnerable populations? What about affordable housing that is in concert with combating climate change? What about water resources and availability, infrastructure, neighborhoods, and so forth? Those are all active areas in which we're going to be working on a plan for our area. Now, initially, what we expect to do is to meet once a month. We hope to expand our membership, as I said, and find a permanent chair and co-chair for the leadership. This follows on the heels of that 2-year study, which was just completed. And I know Lihia and I both felt that that was a really rewarding experience, because not only did we meet some new people who we wouldn't have known otherwise, but it was such a great thing to do during the pandemic, to do something that was challenging and productive and provided a sense of purpose and something meaningful to do. If you have not already seen them, we do have about 16 educational YouTube videos available via our website that we did. And so we invite you to take a look if you have not already, and to please consider joining our team to help us continue the work of that committee. That's it for me. Next.
There we go. Hi, Shirley Strange here. I'm going to be talking about Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. The DEI Committee is part of the League of Women Voters of Appleton. It is made up of league members and non-league members. One of the goals is to strive toward anti-racism as individuals and as an organization. It is our mission to advocate for and take action as necessary to support underrepresented groups in the Appleton area. The League welcomes and is grateful for the support and leadership of individuals from diverse communities who participate on the committee. Working on the DEI committee for myself, it has been absolutely mind-blowing, eye-opening. Just the reading I have done, the learning I have done, the growing I have done has started me on a path that I'm very, very fired up about. One of the things that I think is important for us to know, the National League for 100 years has had one principle, and that is empowering voters and defending democracy. It was, I believe it was 3 years ago, Jeannie might be able to be precise on this, where the National League included a second principle. They hadn't done that ever. And the second principle was a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion in principle and in practice. And so our charge is to participate at a local level and do the same kinds of things. Now, the DEI committee does advocacy. And tonight we're going to take a minute. I'll show you the next slide. Hello, Dave. Nope, there it is. Nope, back. Okay, there is a resolution before the city council, and it is a resolution on condemning xenophobia, racism, and violence against the Asian Pacific Islander Desi American community. So we're going to go now, and I'm going to show you exactly how to get there. You would, oh, what can I get here? Go to appleton.org. That's the only link you have to remember, appleton.org. Dave and Barbara, okay, they're allowing me to share now, so here we go. Okay, you're going to go to appleton.org, and this is the page that will open up. You want to go to government. And when you go to government, you're going to go to Common Council. This page will come up. This is an important page because 3 things happen here. You can send an email to the entire group in one fell swoop. You can choose an individual council person to send an email to by just clicking on their name. Now, this is the key. Weekly aldermanic packets that are supplied to alderpersons each Friday can be found here. See that miniature here? That's where you want to go because it's going to take you to the agenda. Okay. And then you're going to see the agenda for 4/21. You follow this over here, you click on the agenda, and this will come up, and that will give you the agenda for the evening. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because I want you to know what the resolution is. So we're going to go, it's a long meeting, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. The resolution was presented to the Safety and Licensing Committee. It passed there, but not unanimously by any means, but it did pass and it is now before the City Council. This is the resolution that you want to look at, and that will look like this. So you can read through that resolution. If you agree with it, then you want to contact your council member. Remember, you're going to go to the appleton.org. It's going to take you here. And then you're going to go to this. And from there on, I think you'll hit a home run. And it's basically asking the city council to support that resolution. And that should do it for me.
All right, thank you, Shirley. Before we get to the specific events committees, and I turn it back over to Shirley and Linda, I want to emphasize that when I joined the league, I joined for 1 or 2 issues. And a lot of us do that. We join with a specific passion about 1 or 2 issues. And the longer I stayed in the league, the more I realized the breadth and the scope of what our league does. And it is amazing. So thank you for being on this journey with us. We have these last 2 committees here. Shirley?
Okay. The Making Democracy Work Award actually started back in 2010 during the 90th anniversary of the formation of the league. It had a dual purpose: to honor the civic work of individuals and to make the league's presence known in the community. In 2014, the Appleton League gave its first Making Democracy Work Award to an adult and have done so each year with the exception of the 2020 during COVID. But in 2018, we got this bright notion that we should include our youth. So we gave out our first youth award in 2019, or in 2018 and in 2019, and even during the COVID year of 2020, doing that virtually, of course. A team of league members comprise the committee, and it is their responsibility to seek nominations, select a recipient, get the word out through the media, present the award at a league gathering with hoopla bells and whistles. That will do it.
Linda? you
Okay.
volunteered? Good.
There's no details about Women's Equality Day because we just had a meeting this afternoon. So I'll tell you what was decided. Last year when we had the 19th Amendment Centennial celebration, we had to change course for Women's Equality Day last year. And rather than have an in-person event, we created a video with the hope that the following year we could have the in-person event that we hope to have. And we do plan to have an in-person event this year for Women's Equality Day, which is August 26th. And we have a wonderful speaker coming. Her name is Elaine Weiss, and she wrote an incredibly compelling book called The Woman's Hour, which is about the last push to ratify the 19th Amendment and focused on the state of Tennessee, which was the very last state to ratify. She gives an incredibly engaging speech, I'm told, and she has signed a contract and is committed to come and speak here. The event will be at Perry Hall at what I call UW Fox. In the afternoon, starting at 4:30, we'll have a reception. We're thinking we might have a reception gathering outside at the campus, and then the event itself will take place in their auditorium there from about 6:45 to 7:40, something like that. And then we'll have a book signing to follow with Elaine. So I hope you mark your calendars and look forward to that. So Sue Silton is chairing this committee, and it's going to be great. We're going to have nice catered hors d'oeuvres and things like that too. So that's Women's Equality Day, August 26th, 2021 at 4:30 to about 7:30. Oh, and this is me too. Okay, this is coming up next week, and I really hope that you will all be able to join us for this event. This is part of the National People-Powered Fair Maps Day that has been set aside for the League of Women Voters of the United States to focus on the topic of redistricting, which is crucial this year. Following the census, the whole country will have to go through a redistricting process, as we do every 10 years. And we are sponsoring a screening of the film, Can You Hear Us Now?, which was put together following candidates in the 2018 state elections for state assembly. And it really brings to light and personalizes how gerrymandering has affected democracy in the state of Wisconsin. You will have the opportunity to view this film anytime between the 25th and the 29th. So that's Sunday through Thursday next week. And then Thursday evening from 6:30 to 7:30, we have an incredible panel of people assembled that will discuss the issue of redistricting in the context of this film. So on the panel, we will have two filmmakers joining us, as well as Penny Bernard Shaber, who was a former representative from the 57th Assembly District in Appleton, former State Senator Dave Hansen from Green Bay, Sheila Plotkin, who is a powerhouse of a retired woman down in Madison that has developed an incredible website called We the Irrelevant, which documents all the contacts that constituents make to the representatives on either side of an issue. And it very clearly shows how their representatives are pretty much ignoring whatever their constituents are saying to them. And then finally, we have Tony Phillips, who is on the People's Maps Commission, representing the 8th Congressional District. So you can register for the film and for the panel discussion on our website. And I hope you'll join us. You won't be disappointed. It's going to be a great event.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And for the last slide. So we're hoping that our May meeting will be one of our last virtual meetings. It's our annual meeting, so please join. You'll be receiving an email invitation to join that in about a week. So put that on your calendar for us, please, as well as the August 26th on your calendar. Thank you all for joining us. Any comments that you want to put out there, Jean, in our last minute?
No, just thank you all for being here. I hope this has helped some of you, help spark ideas and passions of things that you want to do within your membership of the League of Women Voters. Contact any one of us board members, contact me, contact the League email, contact Jackie or Brian for voter services. And we would love for you to be a part of any of our committees. I have to say, when I joined probably 5 or 6 years ago, the first thing I did was join a study committee, and it was about something I had absolutely no interest in. But I joined it because I wanted to learn how the studies, how studies are run. And it was fascinating, and it was wonderful, and it was just so exhilarating talking with other people and learning so much about an area that prior to this I had no interest in, and after I was very interested in. So that's a great way to understand League too, is to join the study committee and help out with that. And it's so nice to see all your faces. I hope I can see all of you in person soon. And I hope you're all being safe. And anybody have questions at all before we're done here?
This is Cindy Falona. I want to very quickly add, I think just a perfect story to end. The League of Women Voters, nationally, statewide, and especially locally, we really are a well-respected organization. I'm a county board member. We have 2 other League members who are also Outagamie County board members. And at our last meeting, the county considered a resolution to pass or not pass regarding the legislation that's going forth at the state level right now regarding voting, and many of the suggested pieces of legislation will in effect make it more difficult to exercise your right to vote. And Jean sent a resolution and information to the county board chair. And I am delighted to say that he said in the meeting, I'm presenting this resolution because it came from Jean Roberts, the president of the League of Women Voters of Appleton. And I wanted to stand up and share. I didn't do that, but please take that as a compliment for all the hard, nonpartisan work that we do. Thank you.
I do have a question. Even if I'm not a member of Appleton, can I still make a comment about that proposition? Even though I'm not a resident, Appleton resident?
Oh,
I'm going to say
solution,
absolutely.
Sandy? Are you talking about solution, Sandy?
Yes.
On xenophobia?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Here's what I do. I'm not an Appleton resident either, but I am always writing. And I say Appleton is my city, whether I'm an actual resident or not. Appleton is my city. And when I come into Appleton, I want that to be a friendly place for all people. So yes, you absolutely can. When you give your
Thank you.
address, they will know that you're not a, you know, a resident, but
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Any other questions or comments? I hope some of you, like I said, have figured out where you fit in and look forward to seeing all of you hopefully in person soon. I miss you all.
Has a question, Jeannie.
Karen,
Karen has a question.
Karen has a hand up.
Oh, yes, thank you. I was just going to let it go if nobody noticed.
You're on.
Hello, everyone. It is my esteemed pleasure to have been a member of the League of Women Voters of Appleton. And as I'm winding down my time in the city through this summer, before I leave, I just wanted to let you know I did just get a flyer from Cami, my former colleague at City Hall, City Clerk, that there is a notice of the swearing-in ceremony for the newly re-elected alderpersons for tomorrow at 5:15 in Houdini Plaza. We'll be outside. And I just wanted to let everybody know, since that was a big part of what we do as League of Women Voter members.
Oh, thank you. 5:50.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay.
You're welcome.
all right, with that last announcement, thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for your hard work. And I look forward to seeing you in May when we get to celebrate our accomplishments. Woo!
Thanks,
All right, have
everybody.
a great week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.